Hello, Andrew? Wait.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Are you, oh, there it is. Hold on. Are you streaming also, Andrew, or are you just,
No.
No? Okay.
No, I sent the audience over to you earlier.
Oh, thank you, man.
I was
Yeah.
I was just finishing up as you were getting started, so I think I had somewhere around 15,000 live between the two platforms. So we sent them on over to, of course, my good friend Brian Atlas.
Thank you, man.
I know I know you're covering all of this, Brian, but stop doing that. I want to hear something totally different. You've had Charlie Kirk in your studio many times. He did multiple debates with various women who were on the podcast. Tell us about Charlie Kirk, the person, your interactions with him, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, I'm going to get right into that. I'm doing a bit of a new tech setup here. So I'm trying to I'm going to answer your question, but I'm just trying to see if I can get you on screen here. Give me one
Gotcha.
sec. Just one sec. Because I'm usually not, this is probably going to be the easiest thing here. So hold on. We'll do this.
Yes. Be dwarfed by the presence of Andrew.
Oh, yeah?
Be dwarfed. Be dwarfed.
Oh, shit. What now?
Oh, yeah. That's fair.
Yeah, so we had Charlie. And by the way, even before I started my podcast, I was watching Charlie. Like I was watching his campus stuff. I mean, I think he'd been doing that since 2017 for a really long time. So I was aware of Charlie well before I started my podcast, well before he even came on. I'd watch Charlie, I'd watch Steven Crowder, I'd watch, some of the Daily Wire stuff, like Michael Knowles, all that stuff. All those people. And, but we had Charlie on in, it was like January, February 2024. We had him on the second time in June of 2025. And
Let's start with the first time you had him on.
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk walks in the studio.
Yeah.
This is a large man, yeah?
He's tall. He's 6'5" or something. Tall guy.
Did he give you the Kirk smile?
Oh, yeah. He came in. He had his, entourage around him. And I give him a big handshake. He's got a big smile on his face. And he greets me. And he greets the rest of my staff. Very friendly guy. Nice, super nice guy. And then, he was only able to, do a brief period of, being on the actual show. So he pretty much, we already had the guests ready to go. And he comes to the table. There's like the 8, 9 girls or whatever. He introduces himself. He's super polite to everybody. I think he maybe even, I don't know if he shook everybody's hand, but, introduced himself, cracked a joke or two. And then we did the show. And he was, he was very polite on the show. Very nice guy. Streamed with us for 2-3 hours. And then, he had to go do, he had to take off. And, I went back. I said, hey, thanks for coming on. Thanked his whole team. His team was great too. Everybody over there's super awesome. I think I don't know if it's exactly his manager. Lives here in Santa Barbara, local guy.
How did the women respond to him?
At first, I think some of them recognized him. And, he's got all these viral videos where he's like debating people on college campuses. But so at first, I think they were a bit, a little nervous.
Intimidated?
A little intimidated because they're like, oh shit.
Kind of like when I pop up on a video and they're like, oh shit, it's Andrew.
The deer, yeah, they get the deer in headlights look whenever you come on, Andrew. They're like, oh shit. Yeah, and hold on, let me just check one thing. But as he started talking and just, he wasn't like really saying anything mean to the girls or anything. But as he started talking, and we've seen this with some of the other guests too, where the guests will win them over, like over a period of time. Charlie Kirk won those girls over. And
Did he win you over?
well, I mean, I already was a fan of the guy. I already liked the guy before he even came on the show.
You know how sometimes they have the old adage, never meet your heroes, right? Because, perhaps they're kind of pricks or jerks or this type of thing, and they have a public persona that they don't live up to behind the scenes. And in this case, it seems like the public persona lived up to the private persona when the cameras weren't rolling. He was a very decent man. At least that's what I'm getting from you. Mm. So, when you say like winning them over, you still have to do that, even if they're a bit starstruck, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no. And I mean, I was stoked to have him. He left a really great impression on me from that first appearance. And I'd been in contact with his team afterwards, and then we had him on like a couple months later, and this was all ramping up to the 2024 election. And yeah, it was great to have him on. And I don't know, it's just, to me, it's still, the whole thing feels like a fever dream. Like it doesn't even feel real. Like, here's this person I met on a few different occasions
who was horrifically assassinated.
Yeah, assassinated.
Horrifically. Now, Brian, did you watch the close-ups, didn't you?
So, yeah, I woke up yesterday, and usually the first thing I do when I wake up is I don't know, just check my phone. And I had like a link. First thing I saw yesterday was I saw the video, like the close-up video. And yeah, it's just completely shocking, completely disgusting. And yeah, just
did it kill you over? Like, were you in shock? Couldn't really believe what you were seeing? Seemed surreal.
Yeah. I mean, I almost hopped out of bed in a panic, like, holy fuck. I don't know. And
I know
yeah.
it's difficult. I know it's difficult to talk about. I get that.
Yeah.
I will say, real quick, I'm going to have a quick drink with the whatever audience. I haven't seen you guys in a long time. That has nothing to do, of course, my relationship with whatever or Brian Atlas. We both have a lot of stuff going on. It's very, very good to see all of you. I'm going to have a drink in a kind of celebratory memorial of Charlie Kirk. We'll have one real quick. Tastes great. And I'm going to tell you a story. After... Oh.
Sorry. For some reason, you froze. I don't know why. Go ahead.
You saw that. When all of this was going on, all this madness was going on, I got a text in the evening from one Brian Atlas. The very first thing he said, he sent a text over to my wife too, were these words, "Are you okay?" The question there wasn't just a matter of physical safety, of course. I don't think that Brian necessarily had any worries on that front. The "are you okay" is, I think when guys like me and him see something like that, we instantly understand, could have been me. It could have been Brian. That could have been any number of creators that we know who do IRL events. By the way, he wasn't the only one. Pearl Davis, first thing that she texted me is, "Are you okay?" But Brian didn't hyper-focus on himself, but rather was asking the legitimate, genuine question, like, man, are you doing all right? Are you feeling all right? Is that because of how gut-wrenching that was, Brian?
Well, I mean, I was going through it, and I mean, I'm sure, we're in the sphere, and I figured you guys seeing that you must have been feeling what I felt. And, I don't know if you've had conversations with him or anything like that, but when something like this happens, it sort of has a impact on all of us. So I just, you and me, we've known each other for a couple years, and I don't think either of us wants to
We've been friends for a long time.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, I get it. My wife, she just smiled and she was like, thank God for Brian, because what happened, I got the close up. I don't know if it was before anybody, but it was very, very, very early on, before basically anybody I saw had it. It was sent over to me by somebody who was at the event, and he was in law enforcement. And he said, Andrew, all he said was this. He was like, I don't think so. And I knew exactly what he meant. I knew exactly what he meant when he said, I don't think so. And and what he was saying to me too there was like, tell me I'm wrong, right? Like, please tell me I'm wrong. When he said, I don't think so. And what I sent back to him is, I don't think so either. And my wife, she was crying. She was like, no, there's no way. He's not dead. He's not dead. And I after I saw that video, right, I said, don't look at this. But I'm confident he's gone. And she was bawling, you know what I mean? Now about an hour later, some of those close-ups were being released, and she was scrolling through Twitter, and like many women and many of you in the audience, they saw the horrific nature once the close-ups were there, and she dropped her phone because it was gut-wrenching. I told her not to look, but I don't think there's any avoiding it, and it just killed her over. Absolutely horrific, this assassination. And I'm sure many of you out in the audience right now, you have the same story. It was probably something very similar for many of you. And the second you see it, you realize just how brutal and savage this attack really was, and that kind of feeling of powerlessness.
I mean, everything you just said resonates with me. Like I said, I saw it first thing when I woke up. First thing, jump out of bed in a panic. And I mean, obviously my first thought is just feeling awful for Charlie, and then his family, his children, and then just obviously the cascading effects it'll have on other people. But yeah, I saw the first one. I couldn't bear to watch it again. It was just like every time I've like seen the clip pop up, I can't watch it again.
Now, leftists, by the way, Brian, have been trolling me by sending me AI memes of this in the most horrific fashion possible. They send them to me via DMs. I'm not going to show you any of these because they're god awful, but they're a jab towards me, along with many messages of, well, I won't even repeat those either. They're horrific. I can only imagine this too, an angle that many people have not thought of. If I'm getting those, a debater, right-winger in the sphere, who has even more right-wing views likely than Kirk himself did, can you even imagine what they're sending his poor wife? These horrible fucks are probably sending her the worst shit that you can imagine. And I'll say it here on this platform too. Tucker Carlson, he put out a give, send, go. He put $1 million of his own money in that, for a total of $4 million, which is what he's fundraising towards. The Wilsons are going to be contributing to that. I'm sure that that Brian will as well. But I'm asking you in the audience, remember that all the earning capacity of this man was completely eliminated in seconds. And remember that it's not just the horrific torture of his family having to see that live. I heard a story and confirmed that it looks like this is true, that when the shot was fired, his youngest daughter was terrified, and guess where she ran? She ran right towards the arms of her dad, and she was caught. And what I heard on the ground was she said, "Why can't I get to daddy?" Most horrific thing you can ever imagine. And if you think that these fucking merciless bastards aren't sending that poor woman the most horrific shit you can imagine, you're wrong. Because they are.
Some of the videos, some of the stuff I've seen on TikTok, some of the stuff that was reposted from on X, it's completely disgusting. The comments I've seen on, even the sort of, what you can do is, and you've probably seen these, Andrew, if you look at these sort of conciliatory videos or messages from some of these leftists like Dean or that girl Ann or Kylie, they'll put out this sort of almost sort of crocodile tear, doesn't seem very genuine message. But if you look at the comments section, the comments on their video, which says, they'll say violence is never a solution, blah, blah, blah. The comments, their fan base is still rejoicing in what happened. And that's pretty emblematic of, that side of the aisle. I can't think of anybody. Look, I'm not super politics guy or whatever. You're probably more politics guy, Andrew. But I mean, I guess I could ask you, if somebody on the left wing, a Democrat or politician, whatever, or, was assassinated, I can't imagine you or your audience would ever rejoice or celebrate the killing of somebody, even if you didn't like them, even if you, you thought they were a scumbag or whatever it is.
And it's through that mercy that we have become the victims of our own empathy, because we're not lunatics, because we're not crazy, because we're not demonic. That is now being used against us. It's being used against us in the most horrific of ways that you can't even imagine. And maybe, I don't know how many people even in history could, but you can't even imagine what it has to be like for this poor woman to have thousands of people a party to the live viewing of the public assassination of her husband in front of her children. That is got to be the most god-awful, horrible thing that you could ever imagine a person going through.
Yeah.
And yet, and this family is persevering, right? I can't even imagine that. I was told earlier by one of my audience members who follows Dean Withers that when he came out with those public tears in the Discord, he had a poll. A poll was put up, did Charlie Kirk deserve this or not? And 85% of his audience, this is what I'm told, said that he did. They said that he did. They see this in the most sick, perverse way you could ever imagine. They see this as justice. He deserved it. He was a Nazi. He was a fascist. He was the most evil man alive. And Brian has done a great job. If you go to his ex, Brian Atlas, he's done a fantastic job of cataloging the vast multitude of Unfuck America tour, where they called him all of this and worse. And I've been retweeting it because it's excellent to see the contrast. These people don't care, Brian. Do you really think Dean Withers and Parker give a shit? Do you really believe that for a second?
No, not at all. I mean, they're putting on a sort of public front for optics reasons. I don't think, I think there is something back there in their mind where they think good, where they think justified. And obviously, given their platform, they have, some sense to not outwardly say that. Look, I don't know these guys. I don't know what their hearts hold, but
I mean, wouldn't you say that probably 40% or more, and this is, I might even be way off here, it may be way more than that. You have to understand that Brian has dealt with maybe more feminists than any other man on planet Earth. That is actually a possibility. He actually may have dealt with more feminist leftists than any other man who is currently in existence on this planet. And I think that he probably won't dispute this when I say this. These are some god-awful people. The things that they believe are god-awful. And the justifications they make for the most horrible things which can happen to various men is, it's not just off-putting, but it's sick. And how are these people really that dissimilar from a lot of these leftist feminists that you deal with? Don't you think that 40% plus, and that's me being very charitable, these leftist feminists are probably celebrating this today?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, you raised a really good point, and it was something that I was kind of discussing a little bit on my ex, is they use terms like fascist, like Nazi, like extremist, like far right, like all these terms, sexist, racist, whatever it is. That girl, Anne, who I reacted to it on stream earlier, you posted her thing and from her Discord, interestingly enough, if you look at her TikTok, she's doing, she's crying about it. The
public face versus what is said in private was readily exposed there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Imagine a woman who has been seething for many months. I forgot all about the debate the second that debate was finished. The second that she was completely pulverized in it, one of their philosopher queens who got devastated in the debate and said gay for pay and all kinds of crazy shit this lady said. Instantly, when it was the case that there was a public assassination of a right-wing figure, the tears were flowing. But how many times have we seen the fake tears? And then we find out in her Discord, she said, got him, fucked it, you know what I mean? I got him, guys, you know what I mean? Anything to get that kind of validation privately and then publicly, in the public front. Oh, I can't believe that they can't. It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
It's all a game. And listen, one thing that Brian can tell you and can confirm, I've been in that studio I don't know how many times. A lot of times, the forward face that these women put on, especially these feminists, completely in opposition to what they actually believe. And you have to draw it out like poison.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. And actually, I saw that Ann girl that we were just talking about, on her ex, she said that Charlie Kirk is these things. I forgot. I think she said he was a racist. I don't want to misquote her, but he's a racist, extremist, sexist. I think she said fascist. I don't know. I don't even think that these people could probably define what fascism is. But I think, and this is something I mentioned, I think this rhetoric is dangerous, where they're trying to label people, and most of these people don't even know what these terms mean. Oh, this person's a fascist. Okay, he's a Nazi. Well, okay, what should we do with Nazis? I mean, these people, we fought them in World War II.
Imagine the rhetoric here, and you bring up probably the best point of all. If the rhetoric is, you're the moral equivalent of men who rounded up people, put them in a cattle cart in order to ethnically cleanse them in the most horrific ways possible. That's what you're the moral equivalency to.
Yeah.
You can't then go out publicly and say, but I feel really bad that if you're the moral equivalency of that thing, then it's actually worse for you to go out and publicly say, but I didn't want anything bad to happen to him. Why wouldn't you want bad things to happen to Nazis? Why wouldn't you want bad things to happen to these people who are trying to ethnically cleanse the entire world? That's the contradiction, the upfront contradiction. And that's how you know they're full of shit, Brian. They're full of shit. They don't give a flying about what happened to Kirk. They don't care. And they're celebrating it. Yeah. This chat knows it. You know it. We all know it. And they're full of shit, bro. They're full of it.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people on that side of the aisle, like especially some of these younger TikTok people, Dean, Parker, they happily engaged in this sort of fiery rhetoric, basically just trying to label, because it's this strategy isn't really quite as effective as it used to be, but it was basically you call somebody a racist, whether there's any evidence for the claim or not. You call them a racist, oh my God. And most people just buy it. They just buy it. This person's a racist. This person's a Nazi. This person's a fascist, whatever it is. And then they get labeled, and then it makes it much easier to justify all kinds of, whether it's...
Right. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
The idea here being, if you're an evil person because you've been labeled that, then anything we do to you is justified.
Yeah.
And how many times, I can't tell you how many times I've seen these types of posts from the various femoids. And I've debated many of the architects of whatever podcast destruction. And there have been many who have come for the whatever podcast in ways you can't even fathom they've come for it. And I've debated many of them. And always the idea here is I'm completely justified in doing whatever I want to Brian because Thing made me feel bad. And as long as Thing makes me feel bad, I'm completely justified in attacking this person in any way, shape, or form. They don't care. They make a post hoc justification. Brian bad, therefore anything I do to Brian is totally fine.
Yeah. It's happened many times. And
well, how many times in just the last 2 years? I mean, this has happened so many times, in fact, that it's not even unexpected at this point. Or you're just like, oh, another one. Brian Atlas evil, therefore anything that I do to Brian Atlas justified. These are some sick people, bro.
Yeah. There's this interesting thing that people do, and I think anybody can do this, but I have sort of seen this more so from people on the other side of things, is this going nuclear. Like you can call, for example, if you were to call somebody a silly doo-doo face, oh, you're a doo-doo face. Some people will take even the slightest grievance and they will say, I hope that your parents should have, not birthed you. Your mom should have gotten an abortion, or I hope you, somebody unalives you. Just like crazy. I get that people, you don't like what somebody says or whatever it is, but there is this component of going nuclear where there's a disproportionality in the opposition's response to either imagined or perceived slights or grievances, or just even differences of political ideology.
And they can't even be reasoned with, right?
Yeah.
I've seen you try. I've seen Brian, like the audience doesn't know this, and Brian will never tell you this, right? But I'm going to tell you this anyway. Fuck Brian, right? What's he going to do? I'm on a show, I can say this if I want to. I've seen Brian try to reason with many of these people. Like, what are your actual grievances? What are these terrible crimes you think I've done? And that actually makes it worse. The second he points out, like, what did I actually do wrong here? And they have no response. They go 10 times more nuclear. They go way more crazy. And it's the most insane thing for a normal person. If you actually watch the escalation in these DMs of a person saying, like, what did I do wrong here? What is it that you're really upset about? Them not being able to answer, and so they move on to these other things. I mean, Brian's gotten, for you in the audience who don't know this, he's gotten hundreds, if not thousands, of death threats. I mean,
lot, yeah.
More than you could ever imagine he's gotten.
Yep.
And some of them even actionable. The thing that's interesting here is, like, if a creator's getting thousands of death threats, who else are they talking to? They're going to gravitate towards groups of people who are like-minded because that's human behavior. And if they're threatening death on Brian, are they going to try to find people who also want Brian to die? Well, the answer is obviously yes. Obviously yes. And so what happened, how you extrapolate that to Charlie Kirk, how many thousands of people wish death on Charlie Kirk, were very public about it, and sent him DMs about this, gravitated towards groups, and all it takes is one mentally ill person that you start working on. So, like, is Brian safe from the same fate? I'm just going to be honest with all of you. No. No, he's not. He's not actually, because he does this podcast where he's not. And neither is any right-wing creator who's prominent. And Brian's not even that far right-wing. But guess what? Neither was Charlie Kirk. Neither was Charlie Kirk. And they fucking assassinated him in front of his family. Like, I don't even know where to go with that, except to just tell you, like, this is a real situation that's going on in real time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also just worried for you because, I mean, you engage with the politics stuff way more than me. You do more traveling. You do, I do
a lot of IRL. I do a lot of IRL debates.
You've done public stuff.
Yeah. I do a lot of public stuff. I have a big one coming up in Nashville. But
the modern day debate.
Yeah, the modern day debate. It's going to be a huge event. I hope to see all of you there. But here's the thing. This has been my credo kind of from the beginning of the Crucible. Not one step back. Not one fucking step back. I'm not going to not do public engagements because of assassins. I've had assassins sent after me before. That was very public. Brian knows about that. Okay, and it's not the first time. It's probably not going to be the last time. We cannot take a single step back. We can't capitulate to the mob because they say that they're going to kill us with their rifles and this and that. We do have to be smart, and we can't for a second forget what happened here. But we can't take a single step back. We have to continue the public speaking tours. We have to continue the public dialogue and debate. And Brian, fuck these people, yeah? Fuck them.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's, I don't know. I like to think maybe that these people are just misguided I mean, obviously not the violent people, but I don't know, some of these people are just misguided, and maybe through discourse, which Charlie Kirk was attempting to do, we could convey a different approach or a better message to, shifting the perspective. I don't know. But
even if discourse works here, let's just say we get back to discourse and it actually really starts working again. We actually can find some good common ground with these leftist scumbag sons of bitches. Let's just say that we could for a second. What was the cost? The cost was that we had to see this good man mercilessly murdered in front of our eyes and his family's eyes. That's a hell of a price to pay. Just to be able to conduct public debates with people who want to engage. That's insanity. How is this not insane? Like, could you have ever predicted this timeline, Brian? Like, ever?
No, and like I said, I mean, I'm still in shock about what happened. I mean, this is somebody I've met who's been on the show twice, and I don't know. If you asked me 5 years ago, hey, Brian, do you think you would have ever met somebody and, gotten to know them and they ended up being assassinated? I would have been like, that's crazy. But here we are. And I mean, there's obviously been an increase in temperature, increase in political violence. I don't know. Ultimately it's just sad. It's sad. And I'm also, though, like, there was a bit of me that was like angry. Like when I saw that video, there was like a bit of a rage when I saw what happened to Charlie. Like, I don't know, just for everything.
You mean watching a guy that you knew get publicly brutally assassinated elicited emotions of rage? Well, gee, Brian, I'm super shocked by that. Of course it did.
Yeah.
I mean, is it any different if it was the case that I was assassinated publicly? Now, you know me much better,
Yeah.
and we have a much better interpersonal relationship, so it would have affected you probably deeper, but is it really any different ultimately? The idea here is they could get us all. And they've been gunning for a long time to do this.
Yeah.
And you guys just, like in the audience, you don't realize how bad these people really are. Like what Brian has to deal with on the back end, it's fucking horrific. And he tells you 5%, less than 5%.
Yeah, I mean, I don't share much of it, but I mean, Andrew, I'm sure it's just as bad, if not worse, for you. I mean, you're the one who I'm trying to think how I want to say it. You've got the spicier takes than me, and you're a bit more with the polemics. Is that? I don't know if that's the right word.
I've always thought that this was the wrong way to look at it. You see, it wasn't, the assassination of Charlie Kirk wasn't necessarily to do away with Charlie Kirk, though that was the goal. It'll be hard pressed to ever convince me that the goal there wasn't to destroy the platform of TPUSA, which made all of these inroads in these colleges, which was the bastion that the right wing wanted to get into the most, academia. That's where they're crucial. Like if you listen to Brian's debates, he brings this up often. The feminists have all the left-wing institutions, including academia, right? He'll bring this up over and over and over again, and it's a legitimate point. But really, Brian, whose safety is more at risk? The guy who has those views or the guy who platforms those views in front of the most amount of people? I don't think that the danger level's any less on the opposite side. The destruction of the platform to these people is every bit as important as the destruction of the person.
That is true. That I guess, yeah. I mean, but look, I mean, ultimately, I'm still worried about you, about Rachel, and look, you got kids also, so I feel like that's another component, and yeah. Anyways,
but imagine though, at all the views that I have, as contentious as these debates are, Brian has continued to platform me and continue to allow me to engage with the feminist views and engage with the left-wing views on his platform. That is perhaps even more dangerous than holding the views themselves. It's just something I wanted to point out. Brian's always going to be too shy to kind of tell you like a lot of the stuff that goes on in the background. But, fuck that guy. Look, you see me on this big screen, and he's on this little tiny screen. Like, fuck that guy. I'm going to tell you, this guy is mercilessly attacked and viciously attacked in ways you can't even imagine. They do everything from lawfare, not just lawfare. I mean, the mass reporting, it's fucking insane what Brian has to go through. That's why it's like, people go, oh, gee, Andrew, what about you go on there sometimes and it gets a little. It's like, dude, you can't even imagine how much it takes going in the back end of the show. And so I've always been hyper appreciative that Brian has continued to platform me, allow the viewpoints which will oppose the opposition viewpoints. Very rare that you see that. And so, my hat's always kind of been off for that.
Yeah, I mean, it is true that there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and I'm sure it's the same with you, but a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes that is a major thorn in my side, major stress, and I just don't talk about it. I don't talk about it. A lot of stuff, and maybe I could probably.
And you should more. In fact, I think in some ways you should more because, ladies and gentlemen in the audience in the whatever community, you can't really even fathom how bad it is. I've seen many of these messages, and it's not like it's like, oh, here's 10, here's 20. We're talking about hundreds of insane lunatics who come at this guy. I mean, almost weekly. It's really bad. It's really bad. And the idea is he takes a lot of heat, not just for his views, but just for the people he platforms. And I'm telling you, one of the primary motivations of the assassination of Kirk wasn't just Charlie Kirk's views, but it was the platform which was represented. That's what they wanted to kill more than anything. And it's like, so, as far as me being a target, sure. But I think that it's platforms who will allow oppositional views. I think that they're targeted even more.
Well, I mean, with Turning Point USA, I hope that somebody can. I mean, I don't know who. Charlie Kirk was kind of a
you can't replace
generational type of guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm hoping that the Turning Point can continue to at least do some form of advocacy. I can't imagine that they're going to go away, but obviously it's taken a massive blow. And but yeah, no, you are right to point out that. And it's not just, some people might hear what you say, Andrew, and just be like, oh, he just gets like nasty messages. But there's a lot of other like kind of fuckery and bullshittery that sometimes it's even hard to put into words, but like people will try to mess with your business, mess with your channel, the mass reporting.
Here, let me go ahead and put it in words then. They go after his family. They go after his friends. They go after his coworkers. They go after his business interests. They do everything that they can to troll his show. They do everything that they can to hurt him personally. They do everything that they can to. You can't even imagine the kind of horrible fucking people and these mean girl cliques, especially the feminists. They get together in their sewing circles and they plot together. They plot together because the guy's running a show with oppositional views. That's it.
Yeah.
What else is Brian doing? He's just running a show, a dating podcast that has people who disagree with your takes on dating. And they send him death threats. Charlie Kirk saying, hey, you don't have to be a liberal in academia. Of course they were targeting him for killing. Look at what they do to Brian. He runs a dating show, just an oppositional dating show. It's insane, Brian.
I can't imagine. I mean, the amount of hate that Charlie Kirk must have gotten and all the bullshit that comes with it, orders of magnitude greater. 100x, 1000x. I don't know how he would deal with it, and people trying to attack you from all angles. I mean, just me doing the show, like I'm actually impressed by, I'm impressed by you. I'm impressed by, obviously rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, but also Trump. I'll get some bullshit thrown at me, once a week but Trump during his campaign, before the campaign, his first term, his current term, this guy is
about lawfare.
This guy is every 5 minutes he's getting something thrown at him. And I mean, I don't know if in order to my week is rough just dealing with what I'm dealing with. I don't know. These guys are superhuman to be able to deal with all the shit being slung at them. Maybe you have to be a little crazy almost to be able to cope with that amount of stress. I don't know how Trump does it. The guy's a fucking, he's a titan.
I do it because I have a great wife. I have a great and supportive wife. And the horrible things they try to do to her.
Yes.
It's insane the amount of, because many people perceive me as being an invincible persona. Mm-hmm. I can't take on Andrew directly. He'll fucking destroy me. So we'll just incessantly attack his family and his kids and try to hurt him that way because people are sick. But I need to tell you guys, again, the whatever audience, you're never going to know this unless I tell you. There's been many times where I've walked out of the studio where Brian's been like, well, you know what? Fuck them. Right? You know what? Fuck them. We're not going to stop because a bunch of insane lunatic leftists demand it because I have an oppositional dating show. So don't let him sell himself short. He does a really good job in that regard.
Oh, thank you, man. I do appreciate it. And yeah, a lot of the times my approach to whenever there's, somebody talking shit, for the most part, honestly, I've taken the bait a couple times, but honestly, I just try to ignore it. Just, just keep on going. And I did I did want to do a little update check here really quick and see if, let me see if I can actually, is there a way I can get
Did you watch the FBI?
I do both.
Did you watch the FBI brief?
The one that was like an hour ago or something before you went on?
Yeah, it was real. It was so bad.
Yeah, where
They have nothing. It's disgusting. And like, I feel terrible for the Kirks. They just want, they at least at this point just want the basic justice of apprehending the suspect. And this is terrible, man.
Do you think that there's a chance that they don't catch the guy?
No chance.
They're going to get him?
Let me tell you why I think that. There have been people who have murdered cats online, and internet sleuths will figure this shit out. One of the good things about the hyper autistic internet community which exists, and I'm talking to all of you on whatever, okay? And I know that there's some of you who are following this very closely. If the FBI and law enforcement doesn't solve this, you good people on the internet will solve this. And you'll put clues together which will assist them in figuring out who this person is. In fact, I'm willing to make the prediction tonight that the FBI only solves this through the help of internet sleuths like you guys. They're not going to give justice to the Kirks. You guys have to give justice to the Kirks because this is fucking insane. The FBI has very little. Law enforcement at this event was a joke. I watched the first FBI brief. Brian, they said there were 6 cops there for a crowd of 3,000, multiple of them plain clothes. That's it. That was the entire 6 cops for 3,000 people. And then they said, well, Kirk has his own private security team. Well, that security team is looking for problems from the crowd of people rushing the stage, things like that. They're not up there looking for snipers and this type of thing. That's not their function. That's police officers' function. This was a failure at basically every level. It was a failure at every level.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that, I don't know if it's right to, think about this, but do you think that for someone like Charlie Kirk, there was a protocol in place where there could be some anticipation that he could be shot? Like, do they have somebody on standby who's like ready to do like a medic or something like that? Do you think that there might have? No.
I think maybe there was an ambulance on site to do basic things like a person has a heat stroke, they can take care of that. The medical team who was on site was probably for things like minor wounds, somebody fell down, they went into anaphylactic shock because it got stung by a bee. There definitely wasn't a trauma team on site who was ready for things like gunshots. And really, why would there be?
Right.
Kirk ultimately was very moderate in his views, and these were, for the most part, extremely respectful exchanges between him and the audience. There wasn't necessarily any reason to believe that leftist psychopaths were going to take a rechambered Mauser and try to blast this guy 160 yards away. There wasn't necessarily good reason for him to believe that. Now, going forward, most of the right is going to assume that, and they should. The problem is that there's a bit of complacency which happened here. And the complacency was the idea that you can just, in an unmolested way, be able to go on college university campuses and have these respectful exchanges without having to worry about a sniper in the wings. That's the normalcy bias coming to fruition. And I don't blame Charlie Kirk for that, right? I blame the psychopathic left for that.
Right. It's just, I wonder, in terms of stifling this sort of activity, Steven Crowder did this stuff in the past. I don't know if he really does it much anymore. He had the change my mind stuff. I had actually contemplated, and I think I pitched to you a while back, like, hey, next time you're in person, let's just go to the street. Let's do men on the street. We'll get a sign, and it'll, just debate people out on the street. And I mean, look, the Whatever Podcast, we're kind of small fries compared to Charlie Kirk, but that's something, doing something man on the street style, or, doing something on the college campus has been something I've contemplated doing. I mean, at this point, at least from my perspective, I'm like, that's kind of on the shelf right now. I mean, but I don't want to make it, I feel like maybe it's a bit insensitive to make it about me.
But I understand you're not making it about you, though. What you're doing is you're taking the collective of your experiences and applying it to what the new domain of politics looks like. Big difference between that and trying to make this horrific event about you. In many ways, you may not realize this, Brian, but you are still paid for your political commentary. People are tuning in right now because they want to know exactly how you feel about this. And by the way, so do I. And the truth is that it's perfectly acceptable, and I understand why so many people on the right instantly were like, man, we got to beef up security. We were talking about this, about the big Nashville event earlier with Modern Day Debate. I'm going to make sure that the people who are there are protected. That's the number one goal. Not just myself and my kind wife, but everybody who's there, we need to make sure is protected. I understand completely what's going through various people's heads right this second. Now, I did talk to Steven Crowder today, and as you know, I don't release publicly the context or generally content of what I talk to other content creators about. But Crowder's overall, I can tell you his overall kind of mindset here was, fuck these people. And if I have to do IRL events again, I will. And we'll do them in a way where they, where who cares what they do. If they have hand grenades, it wouldn't matter. So he's completely on the fuck these people train. And, I got to kind of respect that, Brian. Fuck them. They're these bastards, they can't intimidate us this way. If we allow that, we've already lost.
Yeah. We kind of brought the show to the street, the dating talk show. This was pretty much exactly a year ago. It was, I think, August, September. And even the first one we did, it was me, my filmer, and Madison. We really quickly, even just doing that, just dating questions, we were like, we need security. And then I discontinued it after about, 10, 15 episodes or something. But by the end of it, I had a team. I needed like 4 security guards. I had 4 security guards, and we were just asking people dating questions. And this is like a college campus area. Yeah, I mean, I think, I had some kind of, I was contemplating starting that up again. I was talking to Nick about it, but that's probably on hold for now. You're braver than me, man. I need to at least pause on that for a little bit. But yeah, I want you to stay safe, man, because I know you're going to be doing some public, in front of an audience stuff, and yeah. Everything okay? She brought you a beer or cookies?
No. My wife just brought me down a fresh pack.
There you go. Light up.
Yeah.
Light up.